you so much. It's a real great pleasure. Is my mic on? Sounds like it's on. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I want to thank the folks at Sozo for trusting me. This is a great product that we're coming out with, and for them to put their faith in me to present it to you to try to make some sense out of all this is really fantastic. I tell you, it's a daunting task to be given some medical literature, and I got a PowerPoint last week, and the PowerPoint I got was like absolutely boring. And I was like, there's no way I can take this PowerPoint and show it to 600 people, because if that were the case, we would need 600 ignites to go through this. So medical research is extremely, extremely boring, and to go through it, it requires, just I guess a lot of ignites. So anyways, I try to spice it up, and here's my talk that I put together. Can we go ahead and put the... There we go. Let me go back one. So I picked a little topic, and it's fat, comma, you lose. So, yes. So Sozo wins, fat, you lose. So here we go. And this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I take care of folks, and I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I just specialize in shoulders. But I tell you, obesity is a big deal. And it's a big deal because I love to take care of my patients, not only their shoulder problems, but when I'm in the OR, I've got to take care of the entire patient. And sometimes they have heart problems, diabetes, they're overweight, and they have issues with breathing. Maybe they're on a CPAP machine. So it's a big deal to take care of these folks. And it's important that we take care of the whole person and not just the shoulder when I'm in the OR. So this is doing an operative procedure where I'm doing arthroscopy. And of course, if you look at the data, and this is government data that was put out just recently, 2/3 of the U.S. population are overweight, and that's significant data. And out of those, half are obese. And it's very hard for these folks to then get back to a more normal diet and to a normal life, if you will. Now, that's why our healthcare costs right now are staggering, because one of the facts is obesity. So what obesity does, it gives you diabetes, you get high blood pressure, you get cardiovascular issues. A lot of strokes happen from being overweight. The arteries get clogged, going up in the head. And if the blood flow stops, that's how you get a stroke. We also see arthritis. Arthritis is very common in overweight people. The reason is if you're sitting there pounding on those joints day after day, those are knees, the hips, even the low back, it's arthritic. And then before you know it, you have issues. We do know from multiple studies that we see inflammation in overweight people. What does that mean? Well, there are a lot of ways that we can follow inflammation. Specifically, there's one that I'll talk about called C-reactive protein. We can actually measure C-reactive protein in the blood. And when folks have infections, when the folks have a fracture or what have you, if you've been stressed, C-reactive protein or CRP goes up. And we do see that in folks without any recent fracture, without any recent infection that are obese. They have higher levels of C-reactive protein. And so we'll talk about that in a second as well. Now, let's just go back. New Year's just happened. What is the number one thing that folks think about, or their number one resolution for New Year's Eve? It's weight loss. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, and this kind of makes sense, something to do about money, something to do about work. I want to work more. I want to make more money. So, and the third thing is family. But what if I could tell you that the product that we have can definitely help you for number one, and can definitely help you for the second thing I have listed up on the screen. And if you have more time, if you have more money, if you have better health, you can definitely spend more time with your family. So whether it's your business or whether it's weight loss, it's all about how much you take in and how much you put out. So what I mean by that in business, you want the cash flow to come in nicely, right? And obviously offset that or hopefully have low expenses. But with weight loss, the same thing. There's so many fads, so many diets out there trying to limit the intake. But what we can do is do something about what happens in our body. Okay, so we want to work on the intake, obviously, but you also want to do something about what your body is doing within your body to maybe generate greater output of these bad things that are making us gain weight. So it's a big problem, okay? What happens to all of us as we mature, as we get older, is, and especially him, is, the metabolism starts to slow down. And this happens to all of us. I remember in college, I used to be able to eat 2 pizzas and lose weight. It doesn't happen anymore. We're all there. Metabolism slows down. Things like stress, things like lack of sleep, all this affects your hormones in your body. And what that does then, it makes it easier for you to gain weight, believe it or not. It really does. Stuff like stress. So being overweight is not easy. It's not a good thing. And of course, nowadays we have so many food options. You can go down the corner from here and grab Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or Chipotle. I mean, you can just grab any kind of food, and it's so readily available that, again, that's affecting our input. So, and the last thing I want to talk about, it's also hard to exercise. I mean, I can tell you, I get home, and either my wife is done with the kids, and she's tagged, you're it. It's your turn. I got a 6-year-old that if jumping off the refrigerator was an Olympic sport, he would definitely win that. He is. I got 2 other kids that are fantastic, and they're more low-key. And I don't know what happened with a 6-year-old. He's just, I think he secretly takes Ignite. So, but it's hard to exercise. Also hard to exercise. If you have arthritis and your knees hurt, how easy is it to exercise? You can't. So what happens? These folks get, you gain weight, you get arthritic, you get a low back pain, and then you try to exercise. That's just very hard. So again, damage is being done. Okay, so we have all these bad things going on. You got the inflammation, you got cardiovascular issues. It's hard to exercise. We need a hero. Okay, we do. We need a hero. So, let me introduce the product by Nutrigenesis. It's called Weltrim, and Larry Cantrell mentioned Weltrim a while ago. And what Weltrim is, it's a patented blend of nutraceuticals that they obtained and extracted from the African mango. So it's not just and I don't want to just call it African mango. This is my own little term here. I want to call it my little super African mango. Yeah, because this thing is really, really fantastic, and I'm going to go through a study and show you this. This thing works on your weight loss. It also works on body fat. It burns off the body fat. And because it burns off body fat, it works on your body size, and it also does good stuff for your cardiovascular health. And of course, it regulates and helps to maintain and stabilize blood glucose levels. So we'll talk about those in a sec right here as we go through the study. So all of these things happen. So do you think it would be easy to sell a product that gets rid of weight? Yep. Absolutely. What about body fat and body size? Yeah. And I think it's so easy to go tell folks, hey, your coronary arteries, your arteries around your heart, even peripheral arteries can be all helped by something that decreases fat, decreases inflammation, and overall makes you better. And of course, blood sugar balance is so important. Nowadays, we have so many diets, and especially the carb-free diets. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to stabilize your blood sugar. That's all they're trying to do. Because as we eat diets with high fructose and glucose, your blood sugar goes way up, and then the insulin comes in and kicks it out, and it goes way down. So you're doing this with your blood glucose back up and down, up and down. So if there's something that can stabilize it, make it a lot better, you'll obviously benefit. So let's talk about the study. Now, when I talk about the super African mango in the study, I'm specifically going to talk about leptin, adiponectin, and this big thing, glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Woo! I said it. So let's talk. And again, this super African mango will come in and get rid of those. It'll specifically help with leptin levels, adiponectin levels, and inhibits this glucose 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. So let's now talk specifically about each one. Leptin is a hormone in your body. It's floating around in our systems right now. It's in our body. And what it does, it's actually produced by the fat cells, okay? As we get fatter, believe it or not, we have more leptin in the system. So our body has more and more. Now, leptin crosses from the blood into the blood-brain barrier. It goes into your head, into your brain. And what it does there, it auto-regulates. It helps the hypothalamus auto-regulate you. So it'll tell you whether you need to be hungrier or you're satisfied. It'll also regulate your blood sugars. It regulates overall. Think of the thermostat in your brain, if you will. So it's not the actual thermostat, but it helps regulate the thermostat. So higher levels of leptin, though, however, you would think would be good, right? So if adipose produces leptin and more adipose produces more leptin, you would think, well, maybe these folks can auto-regulate better, but it doesn't. What happens is you get this leptin resistance. So the body says, oh, wait, there's way too much out there. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to listen to it. And it just the same thing happens with insulin almost in these diabetics where they get an insulin that just does not respond in the body. So what we found is that as the leptin levels come down, all of a sudden the body's like, okay, I want to talk to you now. So having a lower leptin level is key and is essential. Another thing that happens, remember I talked about inflammatory processes, how obese people have more C-reactive protein, which is inflammation in the body? Well, C-reactive protein binds onto leptin, and when it does that, it keeps the leptin from going into the brain to do its thing. So now you have more leptin that the body's not listening to, and you have this CRP leptin receptor or they bound together, and now it doesn't cross over into the blood-brain barrier where it's supposed to be doing some work. So before you know it, you've got issues. Now, if you look at this at the slide, can you pop up the slide one more time? The slide has two mice on it, and the first is a mouse that's a normal mouse. The second is a mouse that has leptin resistance. Leptin and this next hormone I'm going to talk about, adiponectin, were just recently discovered. And in one of the studies I pulled up, they found that these mice were leptin resistant, and in doing so, leptin did nothing. So that's why these mice were a lot fatter, and that's significant. Now, what Weltrim does, obviously, it decreases your leptin to normal levels, decreases a C-reactive protein, which doesn't bind to leptin, and then you do much better. Let's talk about the next hormone. Next one is adiponectin. What adiponectin does is it autoregulates your blood sugar, so it kind of works in conjunction with insulin. And adiponectin is made in the fat cells itself as well, and you would think that bigger people, fatter people would have more adiponectin, but it's the opposite. For some reason, we have lower levels of adiponectin with higher levels of body mass, if you will. So it's very, very important to get the adiponectin up so that we can self-regulate the blood glucose and help insulin do its thing. And of course, Weltrim increases those adiponectin levels. Last but not least is going to be the glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. That's a huge word. This is an enzyme, and what this enzyme's doing, it's basically putting 2x4s into the house, and the house is these fat cells. So glycerol is a 2x4, if you will. And what glycerol does, it's a building block for lipid metabolism. So the bigger you start to get, the more glycerol you're going to be getting into those fat cells. So what this glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase does is limit the production of glycerol. Therefore, if you don't have the 2x4s, you can't be building that house, right? So again, that's where it helps. So Weltrim helps by inhibiting the glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, and by doing so, you have less glycerol, less 2x4s. The house is not going to get built. Anyways, so this is a study that was put out by some folks, and it assesses the Weltrim and how well it does. And basically what they did is took 102 patients. All of them were overweight. All of them were obese, if you will. And they gave them one got a placebo, one got the Weltrim 150 milligrams. And it was a double-blind study, which means that the investigators didn't know who was getting what. And they assessed blood glucose levels and CRP levels and obviously size and weighed them. And they did so at 4, 8, and 10 weeks. And after 10 weeks, these are the results. And all these results are statistically significant. What it means is the data makes sense, if you will. So body weight was down 28 pounds, which is it's a big deal. I mean, 28 pounds. Body fat was down. Waist size decreased by a little over 6 inches. So that, again, those are huge, huge numbers. And these folks continued, their intake was same, and their output was the same for the most part. Nothing changed for the exception of taking the Weltrim. So, serum leptin levels, thank you. Serum leptin levels, and I tell you, medical research is so boring, and I'm going to count afterwards, see how many people are asleep, but serum leptin levels remember, we have to get the leptin down to a more normal level because that's when the body starts to listen to it. Those were decreased. C-reactive protein was also decreased. Now, another good thing is that we found that total cholesterol was markedly lower, as well as LDL. LDL is a bad cholesterol. That's the cholesterol that you don't want. And of course, adiponectin was up. All right? What do y'all think about that? The wonderful thing of a Mac and some Keynote makes a speaker look good. All right, so I mean, this product in conjunction with Ignite, in conjunction with Coffee Berry, and of course Coffee Berry is in the Thermogenic coffee. I mean, do you think this can help your health? Yes. Absolutely, it can help your health. I mean, it can help the cardiovascular problems that we have. It can help the weight gain problems that we have, even inflammation, so why not take it? What about from a business side of things? Can you sell this product to someone? Absolutely, you can. So again, I encourage you to do the research, look at this. I'm more than happy to send you the articles that I've dug up if you want. This is my website. Again, I'm an orthopedic surgeon in Austin. It's austenshoulder.com. But through that website, you can contact me if you have any questions, if you want the research articles to be sent to you or something. I believe they're going to be on the website as well. So that's it. Thank you very much.